So welcome back to Prototype to Product Season 1. The contest has started and submissions have been flowing in, and honestly, I am so impressed with all the creative designs that have been submitted so far. So let's recap. Design a camera accessory. Submit your design, and in a first of its kind, the grand prize, in addition to a Cool Run Plus and $750 in Kondor Blue credit, which is pretty great as well. The grand prize is the chance to work with Kondor Blue to make your design a real product. So just to be super clear, your design becomes a real product. So there's something I want to share, which is this: your design doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, far from it. We're not looking for polished final products, we're looking for prototypes. It has to print and it has to show the idea, that's it. Kondor Blue has an extensive experience with making ideas a reality. So we are calling all fathers, sons, mothers, daughters, uncles, aunts, siblings, nannies, assistants, grandfathers, and grandmothers. This is your contest and this is for you. If you have an idea, don't be afraid to share it. On today's update, I had the wonderful opportunity to talk with fellow designer and now friend, Schone, who preoccupies his time 3D printing kayaks, turning treadmills into 3D printers, 3D printing licorice, and over-engineering IKEA hacks, among other things. He is equal parts engineer and comedian. His channel and his brand, Proper Printing, are amazing. I had the chance to sit down with him to talk about the contest, his ideas on design, and what he wants you, the viewer, to make.
My name is Schone. I experiment with 3D printing.
I've been binge watching a lot of your content. It's really, really good. You have like a legitimately good sense of humor. There's so many little bits and nuances. Well, I like the big swings with humor, but I'm really into the small minutia for humor. And you were like a master at the minutia, detail-oriented humor.
Okay, it needs to be replaced again.
Again?
Yep.
So when you include humor into your video, do you map it out beforehand, like the bits, or do you kind of, while you're filming, do you kind of come up with them?
Almost always come up with them. I think I always come up with them during filming. Some of them are set up. Well, we had a shot with a merch when we sold merch, and we had this whole idea of we had an old Mercedes, and that the Mercedes broke down in the middle of nowhere, and that the whole day was gone. But it was a very bad punchline. It was like our day is and it was not completely because we are wearing proper merch. So that was the punchline of it. But the whole car it was pretty cool. We bought smoke grenades and we dumped it in the car, and it was smoke coming out, and it was still, I think, one of my fondest memories of filming. It's like you are having a discussion with a friend and you are just envisioning something, and then you say, oh, what if this happens? And quite often you have like a back and forth communication, like, okay, this is funny, and you come up with funny things on the spot. That's what usually happens during my videos when I'm just filming on it, and it just comes to mind in the moment.
I love it. Well, and even like your narration, and like even if something explicitly funny didn't happen or some kind of mistake or something, the way that you narrate and the way that you kind of tell a story, it is funny. Like it's intrinsically funny, so it's fun to watch.
It helps that, and I think that's also why I want to continue editing my videos, because I feel that your personality can come through the edit.
How are the kinematics of a treadmill, tread, like how do you assemble that? How do you kind of go about that?
It was the big challenge was that a treadmill, it's quite vertical, the pillars that the handles have and everything. A belt printer is usually at around 45 degrees. We had to modify the motor because it's not going to run as fast as a regular treadmill, so we bought a beefy stepper motor. Basically, that was kind of it. It was the basis of this treadmill. It already had most of the stuff that we needed. And of course we added a Core XY gantry on the vertical part of the treadmill. And the controller is just a standard controller, and you configure it like a standard Core XY machine, and the slicer does the rest. So the controller has no idea that it is a belt printer. You just say that it has a huge, I think, infinite set, or maybe we set it to a couple of meters, I don't know. But it's mostly idea maker generating the G code that knows how to slice it. So from a technical standpoint, it wasn't that extremely tough. It was nothing really new. It was just repurposing parts that we already have and be a little creative and make things fit.
So I'm sure people are wondering, bed adhesion on a treadmill, how does it work?
It works actually quite good, but single time use. The bed itself, or the belt, it will melt. So that works well for adhesion, but you can print maybe 3 or 4 times on it and then it goes. And it was also a very rough texture. If you would zoom in quite far, you could see that there were small diamond shapes. The cool thing is that the texture it left on the bottom of the kayak, well basically the top, because we printed the kayak upside down, was a very legit feeling rough texture. Like a lot of people were commenting on it that it felt like the same texture as you see on a plastic boat or ship. It's a very specific texture and it was just perfect.
Wow, oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. How long did it float for? Or did it infinitely float?
No, but that was mostly because of my design mistake. So I made it super fast and I based my design off of 2 Google pictures. And I was very naive, so I just used the pictures as a reference and I made a design. In hindsight, I maybe should have printed it at a small scale and tested in a bathtub just before going all in. But it looked good, and based on that sole fact that it looking good, we started this whole project. So we managed to make it sort of watertight, but we gave ourselves such a tight deadline that we pushed it so far that there was so much went wrong. So we spent 2 or 3 days with a 3D pen to fill all the holes and cracks, and we used solvent to make everything watertight. And the outside was watertight, but because of my ill design, it flipped over, so water was coming in from the inside, which wasn't watertight. So the infill and everything, eventually it just ended up with filled with water.
What's the best infill type for a boat?
That's a good question. We used the fastest, so we only had like the zigzag pattern, and just at some point we had 1% infill. The holes were like this big, just to be able to make the deadline. Yeah, we very soon found out that we weren't going to meet the deadline, and the deadline was hard because it was Make Fair Prague, and our idea was to bring it from San Sebastian, where Ivan lives, to Prague, and put it there in the water in front of a live audience. So that was the deliverable for this video. But yeah, if you start 10 days before Prague Maker Faire, then you don't have a lot of headroom. So yeah, we had some interesting decision making along the way.
So when you have setbacks like that with the boat or with any of these projects, do you view that as like a good thing? Like you're like, this is content, this is great, like problems, or do legitimate problems actually cause real concern in the filmmaking process?
It's a combination of things. I know that a lot of people like that I'm showing my mistakes, but I don't show all of them, maybe half of them. Sometimes a project, it goes so often so wrong that it can turn into a long video full of things that go wrong, but so that it's not even funny anymore. And at some point, I don't know a specific example if it was with this video, but at some point it's just frustrating and tiring. And I try to capture the essence of it, show the highlights, or also during the edit, it's like, okay, how much drama do you want to actually share? And it's tuned down. So I've heard people saying that it's that I'm faking it, or that it's more dramatized. That is dramatized, but usually it's the other way around. There was one concrete thing, is that we were unable to rent a car, and that was on the last day. We found out during the last day that it was impossible to get a car that we could rent in San Sebastian and leave in Prague. So at that moment, I recorded a clip where I explained the whole thing, and that was the end of the video. But at some point, Ivan managed to rent a car, and the only thing I left in the video is, I have a car! Yay! Nice!
We have a car. We have a car. But it doesn't have a roof right here.
And the whole drama of not having a car, we missed. I skipped that, and there were many other things. It was just too much. We went for roof rack shopping, and that took us way too long. And it's so at some point you have to ask yourself, okay, how much does this add to the story? And if you've shown enough already, then it's good.
It is a good happy medium, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's important to keep showing the mistakes. But quite often, I don't like it when it happens. So my initial reaction is not like, this is good for the video, because I also like when you have a project that just works, that you can be happy that it was a smooth sailing. And sometimes that does happen, but not that often. But it's so especially when you make a dumb mistake, or then it's frustrating. It's extra work, and it's like, is this all this extra work? Is it worth it? And or just poor decision making. And you don't always want to show your poor decision making, because there are many things in hindsight make sense, but not in a moment. And that's why you have a lot of armchair engineers knowing exactly what you've done wrong. But I'm one of those armchair engineers, and I very often know in hindsight what I've done wrong. So I often filter out what I show and what I don't, because sometimes it's just too stupid. I'm also human.
So speaking of bad ideas, where do you draw the line between experiment and a legitimately bad idea?
I think a bad idea is when it both doesn't add any value and when you don't learn from it. So if you have one of these two, then it's not a bad idea. So one of my worst ideas, I think, functionally speaking, was the IKEA hack. But most importantly, I learned interesting things during that video, and I came up with fun concepts that I can apply in different videos for different projects.
What's your camera that you like to use for your videos?
I have a Fujifilm X-H2S, and it's now completely rigged out. So, this, I have a smaller Fujifilm and the X100 VI. That's the one that actually dragged me into the Fujifilm ecosystem because of the image quality. It's a photo-first camera, but the quality is fantastic. The quality alone dragged me into the Fujifilm ecosystem. That small camera doesn't have interchangeable lenses, but this one has. But I always use this lens, which is a 16 to 55 millimeter f2.8, and it's so versatile that I almost never change lenses.
Do you use different angles? Do you consciously use different angles to convey emotions in your video?
Yes, basically mostly one. Sometimes, especially when anamorphic, it's fun to make use of the width. So I have, during that video with Ivan, I had a shot where two things were happening and they were on the edges of the frame. But what I quite often do, and more do, is when things go wrong, I place the camera high up, pointing down. So I look more like a failure, like more timid. And when things go right, or I'm in the role of, okay, I know what I'm doing, I am the authority now, I place the camera a bit lower, so you can feel that it's that I'm in control now. So I think that's what I mostly play with the high and low angle, to have it reflect the feeling of security I have in what I'm actually doing.
It was really a pleasure to talk with you, John. I had a really great time talking to you.
It was really cool. Thanks for having me. I have a new website. So it's still properprinting.pro. I bought the properprinting.com domain as well. It was a lot cheaper now than it was back in the day. And I want to prevent someone impersonating me. And also, some people mistype. I've seen them mistyping my website, and instead of .pro they did .com. Now they can, and they will be redirected to .pro.
Oh, smart.
But I rebuilt the whole website, and I'm very happy with how it's turning out. And I'm selling my designs on there, and it used to be one big library of designs and was a bit all over the place. And I've focused now on a project-first approach. So I have a project, for instance, the Ground Excel, and that's one card, that's the project, and it ties to the related YouTube videos, to the designs and articles, and I can add the sponsors and collaborators on that. So it's one, like the spider in the web of everything that's related to it. And the majority of the stuff I show on my channel, like 3D printed shoes, the proper extruder. Some of them have links between them, but it's a way to keep track of my work, and it's it's a whole new approach. And I think that works, and also for myself, because there are many different overarching projects, and sometimes I also lose track of it. So yeah, that's the new approach, and I'm happy with how it's turning out. So this week's prize is the Mitutoyo calipers, and if you want to win, then you have to comment with Mitutoyo, and if you misspell it, you're disqualified.
Disqualified. So you heard John. For all those people that comment Mitutoyo, we will select one person to win some fancy Mitutoyo calipers, which is a designer's best friend. And John's rule stands: spell it wrong and you're disqualified. Winner announced at the top of next week's episode. Keep the design submissions coming. You can enter by going to www.prototype2product.com. Tell your friends and family about the contest, and we will see you here next week. Same time, same place, which is most likely on your phone waiting in line at the DMV, or using the restroom, or my personal favorite, ignoring your responsibilities to watch a YouTube video, but that's more of a state of mind. See you next week.